Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. I am your host, Kelly Meehan, a citizen of the universe and a passage keeper and mentor for our new Earth children. I believe we are entering into a new psychic structure of our reality, and it is meant to embody deeper trust and ways into solid self-love and fearless integrity. Our new world energy of spirit babies needs us to consciously create within conception, trust pregnancy, and have freedom to birth and parent from innate wisdom. This is Spirit Baby Radio. Welcome to episode 211, April 2025. The New Earth children of today, join us as we share real, personal Spirit Baby stories that carry messages of hope, love, connection, and truth. In this space, my plan is to blend the metaphysical, the spiritual, and the science of life to explore profound connections to our everyday existence. Today, I am honored to welcome our special guest, Cory. I feel like what I'm calling her is an expert mother. Thank you, Cory,
Thank you.
for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah.
I'm really excited because I've been following your show for podcast for a really long time. And I've been wanting to come on. And so when you did that invite, I was like, I manifested it. Yay.
Yeah, I heard your call. And yeah, so Cory is probably the first of a few because throughout the years I've had I'm going to call you all mother experts come on that maybe aren't in a specific area like that you're doing with others in the spirit baby world. Maybe you will someday. Who knows? Maybe this is it. But in that, I put out a message, and I want to hear stories of conception, pregnancy, loss, healing, and what this journey has. And something that I often say is that spirit baby communication, pre-birth communication, especially in that preconception space, is that there's such an awakening happening, right? We could do what we want with this awakening journey. And we can, I feel like some level alchemize it. So I'm very happy and honoring to welcome this conversation and
Mm.
maybe even just start off and just tell us, yeah, what has been your journey like? Whatever you feel comfortable sharing, and we can kind of go and see, where the conversation goes and even your spirit baby connections. We would love to hear that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it started a long time ago. When I was 20, I had my first miscarriage. And that was before I was kind of really aware, spirit baby, of gifts and things like that. But I had a sense after the baby passed, I had a sense that I had a connection with this baby, and I somehow knew the baby was a boy. Um, and it just felt like every year, it was almost like around my birthday, he would visit me and we'd just kind of have a conversation. And it wasn't like it went anywhere. It was just more like he was just reassuring me. And I just had this kind of sense. Um, and then I had a really long period of health issues, um, and not getting pregnant. Um, and it became very disheartening, I think, very distrustful of my body, very just, um, listening to outside noise that it's never going to happen. I'm starting to get older, that whole thing. And then one day it was kind of like I had to give myself a hard pep talk. And I was like, okay, well, what do you really want? Do you really want a baby? Um, and if you do, then you need to get serious about this kind of in your heart and not just kind of flowing with the wind, I guess, with whatever people are saying, what the doctors are saying, or whatever. And that's when my kind of spirit baby journey really started. It was like they were waiting for that invitation for me to be ready to say, I know that this is something I really want and I'm going to be serious about it. Um, Instead of kind of being a victim around the circumstances and things going on. And then it just kind of lit on fire. And I remember the first time I did a meditation to try to connect, and I went into like some other realm, and some ancestors were there, and the baby was there. And she was so fiery and just like, yes, I get to talk to you. Um, and then it was just about me kind of exploring what that meant. Like it was a new thing. And I think that's about the time I found your podcast. So like right away, I was able to have a term for it because I didn't know what that meant before. So it was nice to be able to like say this is what it is. And then she would just talk to me all the time. And she told me that I was going to have two babies. And so when I got pregnant with my son, I knew the night of conception. I heard it happened. I knew. And it was very, very different. And so then I was expecting girls. So I was thinking, I have twins, they're going to be girls, because that's kind of how they presented themselves. And I just kept that relationship up, though, like throughout early pregnancy. Um, when I uh, when I found out that he was a boy and there wasn't two, I asked them to do the scan again because I was like, no, there's two. I know there's two babies. Like I can feel them. And
Mm.
the ultrasound tech was like, no, there isn't. And anyways, had my son. And just recently last year, he confirmed with me that there was two babies. He's very, very spiritual. He's a
Mm.
very light child. And we were just sitting on the couch one day and he said, Mom, I had a sister in your belly. I miss her.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, honey, you did. Um, and ever since then, he talks with his sister. She comes to visit him and they play. Um, and that's been pretty magical to kind of see that in him and kind of foster that. Um, I'm kind of backtracking a little bit. I had a very, very tough pregnancy. Pretty much anything that could go wrong went wrong. Same thing with the birth. And it really felt like an initiation. It felt like I was being asked over and over again, do you really want to do this? Like, do you want to stay on this earth? Do you really want to do this? And if you do, then you have to sign up wholeheartedly. And that really felt like what the spirit babies have been helping me with is to be very firm on my decisions and this is what I want to do and not just like I said earlier, willy-nilly going with the wind, right? But it's still the human part of me took a really long time to heal from that. I was
Mm.
very conscious of that I needed to honor what had happened and honor my experience of that. Um, and then decide if I wanted to do it again and how I want that to look. Um, and again, last fall, I kind of decided I think I'm ready, and it was like right away there was this baby girl that was like, I was waiting, like I'm here, and she's quite intense. She will talk to anybody that will listen. So I have like a Reiki therapist who doesn't deal with spirit babies, and yet somehow she's like, this silly baby is always in your energy, and I can't help it but mention it. She's like, I don't do this. So she also shows up to my therapist. Like it's very fascinating. She's just like very, very present. Um, and I don't know when that's supposed to happen, but it's been kind of fun to play with it more now that I've kind of had a few years and have a child earth side to really play with that energy more and like um, have a relationship already, even though she isn't physically here, because it really feels like a relationship.
Yeah, I want to, there's a lot of things you said. It's so powerful. I'm going to reverse a little bit
Yeah,
because something I heard, and I feel like this can help others tuning in. So you said something about doctors and people saying, not being encouraging.
yeah.
What was it that was said that was not encouraging? Was it like, hey, your numbers are not good or your blood's not like, what was it?
I have, diagnoses. I have celiacs, I have endometriosis. And so they're just, well, typically with those illnesses, it's hard to get pregnant and blah, blah, blah. Um, I also had an ectopic pregnancy, so they had to take out my left tube. So then that's a very
Wow.
real,
Yeah.
real thing physically, um, but not impossible, right? And again, it really felt like once I fully committed and opened up to the universe instead of saying it has to happen this way with this time with this person,
Mm.
my son came in um, with a guy who actually didn't want to be his dad. He's not involved. Um, and that was very scary at first. Like,
Mm.
and I felt a lot of shame at first, like, because I come from a very traditional, space where you should be married first and blah, blah, blah. But once I opened up to that and opened up to the gift that he could bring and the gift that yeah, just that who he is, then it happened, I guess.
So how old were you when you conceived?
34.
So, okay, we got 34, we got all these issues, right? It's like, okay, okay. But I love how you anchored in when you said it's like, I'm getting serious. And I think you also bring something important about partnership. I have a lot of women that throughout the years that are like, where's my partner? What does it look like?
Yeah.
But, it's like, it's very tricky because sometimes it is a solo journey and sometimes the partner comes in the middle. And sometimes the partner comes away after, and I really want to just feature that because it is a big deal. And something else you said. So now your son, you said is like 4. You're like, I love that. Oh, that's what it was. I love like, of course you knew you had twins. You're so intuitive. You feel it, and because the energy is real, right?
Yeah.
And it is very common. I did an episode a while ago on twins. I should probably do maybe a newer version of it. But there's something called vanishing twins, right?
Yeah.
Vanishing twin, and it's actually more common that women do have twins, but if you know, it dissolves, they say, or becomes a part of the body. And I love how your Earth Child like affirming it, like, yeah, like, hello, like here's my sister. And it just, to defy all that logic and science because you were willing to step into your heart in a deep way is a
Yeah.
really big deal. And I just want to reflect that to you. Like, I mean, it's such a big deal. And I so appreciate you sharing in this space because it is very intimate. But I can almost promise that other women are going to be like, wait a second, that sounds like my story because when we hear something, doctors can be quite wonderful and it's very beneficial. Like you had the tube removed, it had to come out, right? But then there's this other part that feels like, oh my gosh, what they say is everything. And I've
Yeah.
had so many women hear really negative things from doctors. And I say negative, but it's probably just under their scope of practice. It's what they see, it's what they've learned in books and then walk away and go, I'm doing it anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know what this looks like, what it's going to be, but I'm doing it anyways. And then just to open whatever that piece is, right? That's the magic piece that everybody wants
Yeah.
to find. What is it? What is it? It's like, it's just, as you know, it's layers, right? It's like you're kind of shifting in and out. So you're feeling your twinergy, you're feeling, your pregnancy. So when you found out you were pregnant, what was that moment like?
It was kind of like, of course, I knew that. It was a very busy time, so like I had that thought, oh, I got pregnant, and then I kind of almost forgot about it. And I was really, really busy with life. And then one day I was like, oh, my brain has gone out the window. I should take a test. And it was very positive. And I was like, of course, I knew that. I knew that. Like, I didn't even need a test. I knew that. Like, just being so in tune with my body, and just feeling that energy, of the baby. And I don't think that, like, my son didn't fully anchor into this earth, actually, I think until just recently. But I definitely
Mm,
felt him come in, right?
yeah. Yeah, that's something I've talked about and others have asked, like when, you feel the baby and I tell women like you could be pregnant for 2 years. Like it literally feels their presence
Yeah.
is so strong, so close. And that's where we do have to, kind of fall inward into that intuitive, spiritual, psychic, energetic space. And I know you were sharing with me earlier, I think right before we jumped on the call, was about the spiritual awakening or the gifts that have come along the journey. And I want to hear more about that. But before I do that, did I ask you this already? So when you were ready, like, okay, I'm ready to conceive, this energy's here. How long did that take? Was it months or years for you?
Um, it actually wasn't very long. And that the journey was so long, and then it was
Mm,
like it sped up. I think September I had decided, and I was with a different partner who wasn't a good fit. And I think that was part of it. Um, the baby didn't want to come in until it was the right time, and didn't definitely
mm,
want to come in with that partner. Um, so once I had to end that relationship. Um, and then I got pregnant in May. So not very long, really,
mm, mm.
after I decided.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
knew you again, it's like you sensed it, you feel it, you knew it, but it's always they go, okay, then what does it look like as it comes in, right? That's the
Yeah.
part you're kind of letting go into. So what kind of things have you awoken to? Like,
Well, I've always been very intuitive, always been like I had lots of imaginary friends as a kid, which now I don't think really were imaginary. I was really talking to spirits and stuff, right?
yeah.
Um, I've actually always been telepathic with animals. Um,
Mm,
and then, so I'm actually a nurse, and I use my gifts in palliative care. I've
of
noticed that I
course.
can hear folks when they're dying and help them
Mm,
cross over. I can hear kind of what's going on for them and kind of support them. Um, but I compartmentalized it. I only used it
mm,
at work, and I was too afraid to show up in that way anywhere else. Um, and so I think what the spirit babies have done is really given me that confidence of trusting, like, no, I know this is real. This is part of me. This isn't something I just turn on and turn off. It's just my
mm.
existence. And really giving me that confidence of what I'm hearing or feeling or smelling. Lately, there's been a lot of smells. Or like I said, them showing up to other people and they're like, well, what is this? And I'm like, oh, that's my baby. That's how she shows up. And they're like, what? Okay. Like, it's so interesting to have that kind of other validation as well with other people. Um, so it's just brought me into a space of just being who I am fully, no matter
Mm.
what. And especially the last year, I've really allowed those psychic abilities to come in. So now I don't turn it off. It just happens all the time. Like I'll sit on the couch and have a vision, and I allow that to just be what it is. Um, Still not fully knowing what I'm doing with it, but just like I said, playing with the energy more and allowing it to be what it is.
I
Um,
love that. It's like I want to say welcome to yourself.
yeah,
And welcome to Re-Remembrance.
yeah,
And you have obviously a lot of clairs, right? You have clairvoyance, clairsentience, is it clair augustance or clair
yeah,
olfactory, which is smell and
yeah,
taste. And I think the clairs are expanding, or they're also called the meta senses. And it's so powerful as you share that because it's like you're integrating the normalcy of it. And this is something I really promote. Of course, you're a nurse. Nurses need to be clairvoyant. I mean, you're dealing with great levels of energy because your energy does something. And, I really appreciate you sharing how even you see the crossing of energy because
yeah,
I've able to connect in that way too. And there is something like you're like hanging out on the couch or something, and inner visions and things come. Yeah, that's like all the time. It's just like, and I always often tell people like, because people either, like you said, they separate it or they make it something, but it's with us all the time. And,
yeah,
and we shouldn't be ashamed. We shouldn't be pushing it away. We shouldn't be denying it because I feel like we're at our healthiest, least anxious, least depressed if we just accept it.
yeah,
And I laugh because every day is something interesting, we'll say. And do I need to go and investigate it? No, I actually don't. It's like someone pops in my mind or a call comes in and I hear whatever, and I'm just like, whatever. It just whatever it is, right? It's
yeah,
just like, and then you do get to fully step in and embrace it in a way that, again, it's like we all have different dynamics of our own psychic space. And I like that. It's a nonchalant welcoming in a sense. Like I tell people, with my son, I had like clairvoyant messages from him, like cooking broccoli. I'm totally being serious right now. Like I'm like making broccoli, like I'm like making dinner, like doing this, and then I get I'm like, okay, like we don't always have to sit in this hard meditative space and the quiet, even though the
yeah.
quiet could be good, but baby may not talk to you in the quiet.
This little girl loves to talk to me in the car.
There you go.
The
Yeah,
second I'm
cars are
driving,
really
she
good.
starts talking to me.
Yeah, cars are very hypnotic. Like I could get some really brilliant things. Like I don't drive alone a lot. I'm always either with the kids or my brother or my husband. And I went for a walk a few days ago and I was driving and I got very emotional because I started thinking about how regulated and how in his body my second son is.
Mm,
And it made me feel like tears of joy. Like I was not that kid.
mm.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is my son is in his body regulated and he feels safe in his body. And that was never me. And I was
Mm.
like driving like, like, oh, what am I driving like? I'm driving
Yeah.
this. I'm like, that's a bike. And I was like, what a moment. So I totally feel you on, when energies kind of come in and communicate. And I think it's important for people to hear that because there's a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, communicate now.
Yeah.
Well, like, what if your baby's like not in the mood or your energy's just not in the space, right? I want people to be forgiving to themselves about that, right? I think we all have a story where it was like, babies, where are you? Are we communicating? What's happening? Any other stories you have to share, experiences of communication or connection?
Um, this is a bit of a different tangent, but it's really related. Recently I was talking with this little girl. One of the things I've learned is that twins run in my family, but one twin always dies.
Really?
Yeah, and it
Wow.
goes back as far as time.
Really? Wow. Okay.
And she told me that I healed that, whether you want to call it an ancestral trauma or a curse, like whatever language you want around it, but that something I did, and I don't fully understand that yet, but that
Mm.
I healed that. And she said that because I healed that, she gets to actually come to Earth for the first time.
Oh,
That she's always been the usherer. That was the word she used
wow.
to help somebody get Earthside, but then she gets to actually come in. And yeah, that's making me very emotional. Like
Yeah.
it was so incredibly powerful. Because she was really grateful. And so I really do hope I get to see her Earthside. I know
Yeah.
that there's a lot of factors, but it just seemed really beautiful.
And I think you're right when you talk about ancestral links and backstories. It can be very complex. And I think what it is because we try to think it into our
Yeah.
brains. And there's not a lot. It's such an like the information and the reality of who we are is like encoded in us,
Yeah.
but sometimes it doesn't come out in words. So I totally understand. I've seen very interesting things as I've shared in the podcast and even in other areas, but like some things I'm like, gosh, that's not in a book. What is this? Like, where does this come
Yeah.
from? And what I do know, if maybe this could be guiding, is that when we do change a lineage, we usually do it by being who we are in the world.
Yeah.
Like some when people may be like, oh, I want this, I want that. It's hard to work through a lineage. Okay, let's go like my mom's lineage, and maybe there's a lot of suppression of women and grief. It's like, oh shit, like I can't just snap my fingers and change it, but who am I going to be and expressive in that grief? Who am I showing up to? And maybe even just
Yeah.
connecting with people in that space. It's like that is the lineage work. And I just got chills saying that, but I felt like because people, I feel like we're always trying to like look for it or what does it look like? And I've seen, for example, this one woman, she had an ancestral connection with a lot of disempowerment in her culture. And little did you know, it was like she was doing life coaching. And I'm like, there
Mm.
you go. Right there is changing the story. You are speaking up. And it's like, oh, and for her, it was like, oh, I never thought about that. Because sometimes we're like trying to find that thing or
Yeah.
seek it. And it's like you are literally not even realizing that you're already doing it.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you said that, that's what that reminded me of. It's like you opening the energy for pregnancy, like receiving that through whatever partner energy was coming through. It's like you then get to change that and then you get to see what comes. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, is this being coming earthside through you, through your child, right? And who knows,
Hmm.
there's probably other ways as well. But I think it's beautiful to receive it and just be in curiosity and just, oh, it's like, wow, okay, like, and then you're like showing up to life to see to what unfolds before
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So I know you said that pregnancy was kind of intense, birth was intense. How was your communication in those times?
It was so it's so interesting because before I knew that I was having a son, I had a relationship and I think he hid his gender from me. Like it didn't matter at that point because I really didn't know. Um, I just knew that I was communicating with this baby. Like it was um,
It
without,
froze. It froze. Sorry. I'll have
oh,
to edit. I'll edit this part out. It froze. You just said, wait 1 second. It says internet connection's unstable. Give me a minute. Let's see. Okay. So you said, all I got was it was, and then you put your hand out, and then I heard nothing.
oh, um, it was a partnership. Like every day I was connecting in with him. What do you need? What do you want? What do I need to do for you? And really just connecting in with my knowing around how to grow the baby, even though I hadn't ever made it to that point before. Um, and especially as I got towards the end of the pregnancy, really leaning in on that feeling I had, like I can feel his presence. And I knew when something was wrong. I knew the
Mm,
second when something was really, really wrong.
wow.
I just felt it, right? And of course, well, not of course, but as often happens, mom isn't listened to. And that was a big challenge for me and a big initiation into being a parent and advocating and saying, no, I'm his mom. I know
Mm.
something's wrong. You need to listen to me. No, I know something's wrong. And really using that voice and speaking up. And it, even as a nurse is really hard to have, you know, the people that know better say, no, you're fine and you're just being anxious, right?
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and yeah, it was a really good initiation. And I knew I was going to hemorrhage. And of course, they
Wow.
all, you're crazy. That's not going to happen, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And I hemorrhaged. And if it hadn't been that I pushed so hard to have them have that crash cart there, I would have died. Me and my son would have
Mm.
died. And it just feels like it's a repeating theme for me around really owning you, who you are and like the messages you get and the truth that you know and speaking up, not just knowing it for yourself, but verbalizing that, right?
Advocating for yourself,
Advocating.
and
Yeah.
which is really hard in the world today in the maternity care. And it's like, and you're going with it. And when you said that, it reminded me of, can't remember this documentary, and it was a very visual documentary. It could be Surviving Death, or it may be another documentary. And the woman had near-death experience because she was pregnant, and everybody's think, oh, you're just an anxious mom. Which, yeah, there is anxiousness in motherhood, but there's something deeper. And this
Yeah.
woman, she literally was having visions of bleeding. And they show this image of a water fountain turned to blood. And it
Mm,
was really intense for her. And I don't know if that was just the way they were showing it in the film, or she kept getting these visions, right? And yeah, everybody's like, it's okay, it's okay. And she almost died and she hemorrhaged, and it was just what she kept seeing. And to me, it's like, oh my gosh, like, you're both here, which is awesome. But it's almost like, wow, can we listen? Can we listen to the mother and her needs with her baby? Because it's about you and baby. You are in that. Like people on the outside, we're not in that.
yeah.
And so, I mean, bravo for you being able to even you had also the language too, right? And the
Yeah.
medical wisdom to go, something was up. So then you give birth. Did you end up with cesarean or was it a vaginal?
No, vaginal. Yeah.
Okay. And then so now you're healing and bonding together. And how was that postpartum for you?
Um, physically, very tough since I've been sick the whole pregnancy, you
Yeah.
know, traumatic birth. I was really lucky that I took a prenatal yoga teacher training when I first got pregnant, um, which really saved me because I couldn't work out. I couldn't do anything active. Like I was so
Mm.
sick. So being able to just even move my body in a couple shapes was so therapeutic.
Was it
Um,
nausea? What when you say sick?
hyperemesis gravidarum.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the worst. I mean, I had all trimester nausea and I could not. Oh, like that was hard enough. That you went to that next level. That's intense. Yeah.
Um, but in that training, I met a midwife. Um, and because of how sick I was, I couldn't have her for the birth, but she was my
Mm.
midwife for postpartum. So she
Oh,
visited me at
nice.
home every
Yeah.
single day,
Wow. That's
and
amazing.
really, really took care of me and um, just help manage those fears as a new mom. Like, what about this and what about that? And it was so lovely. And this was in COVID too, right? So you don't get out to begin with. So I just
Oh
felt very
yeah.
taken care of. And I did quite a bit of planning ahead of time. Like I kind of had people set up to bring me food,
Oh
or if they
nice.
didn't, I said, if you
Yeah.
want to come see baby, you better bring mom food. Like I was very kind of
Good for
aware of
you.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
totally.
and so in a lot of ways, it was beautiful. We were very much in a cocoon because it was COVID. So it wasn't just like six
Yeah.
weeks. It was like until I went back to work at 7 months, I had to go back. But we were very much in our own little bubble. And I
Yeah.
really appreciated that. I really enjoyed that time of him
Mm.
and I just kind of learning each other.
What was his birthday again?
February 2021.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's when things were still really weird.
Yeah.
Mm, wow. So I so appreciate you sharing the story. I feel like we got really good conception, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and anything else you want to share before we come to the end here.
I think, and this is related to my work with grief and folks who are dying, that when you develop a relationship with someone, no matter how long, that relationship continues even when they pass. And that's the same thing I've been experiencing with spirit babies. It's like you have that pre-relationship, and then yeah, I've had some miscarriages, but then continuing that relationship on and how healing that's been, because it's really hard to not have your baby earthside, but that relationship didn't go. It's still there. And however someone wants to nurture that, like that's been so important to me to in honoring like my journey and saying this was real. This was really real for me, and I know that that baby was there, and being able to communicate, and then being able to communicate before I even know that I'm pregnant, right? Like I'm doing that with this other baby now, and just how powerful that is, and how it just feels like it's honoring to the self
Mm.
because you know what's true.
Yeah, I love how you just shared that because it is a relationship. We build relationships sometimes years. We may know it, we may not know it. It's nice when you're opening up the intentional energy to be like, okay, I'm listening. And spirit babies, I feel like is more in our consciousness more over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
But before that, it was kind of wish-washy, right? It's like, but now we've really just accepted it into this next level of our evolution. And there is something meaningful. And I know you've shared you've had losses, and then even moving in communication, sharing into those depths and levels. So now are you like on a fertility journey, like a trying to conceive journey currently?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And it's so interesting because now I'm 39, and that's, the geriatric age, and people are fearful, especially after my last pregnancy. And I don't feel that way at all. I feel
Stay
it's,
there.
yeah. And then I'm very verbal about that. Like I've told my doctor, I
Yeah.
don't want any of the negativity. This is who I am. If it's meant to be, it'll happen, but we're not going into the fear space. It's not I'm not available for it. If there's something real
Yeah.
medically I need to do, I will do it because that's what I believe in. But I also don't want to get caught up in fear.
I love how you shared that because as you said that, like here's me like not trying to read you. But I just felt like all that girl flowery energy around your heart. It's like, here's the invitation. But by the way, and I'm sure you know this if you've been following and connecting with my stuff, I had my son at 41. I birthed him at 41. And yeah, geriatric, schmeriatric. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Like you show up in your own light energy, you show up with your children, and it's beautiful. And so we are all holding that beautiful flowery heart energy that you meet your next spirit baby and body. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Corey, for being
Yeah.
here.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
And I want to thank everybody for joining episode, what did we say, 211. Episode. Maybe I'll say that again. I want to thank everybody for joining episode 211. Thank you for coming here. The New Earth Children of Today, real spirit baby stories of messages of love, hope, connection, and truth. Thank you for joining Spirit Baby Radio with your host, me, Kelly Meehan. Please join my community and stay in touch with monthly energy rants. Spirit Baby poetry, and get access to Spirit Baby 101 with tips and practices at my newsletter at newearthchildren.com. And join me on Instagram with lives at Spirit Baby Medium, and join the Mighty Networks, the Spirit Baby Collective membership, and Motherhood to Mediumship. Remember, you are the heart that holds communication, and it is your time to connect. Come share in the great shift of your mind and the true spirit of your heart with Spirit Baby Communication.